Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about annotating, and I'm super excited because my last annotation video was over a year ago now. I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty of everything, and I'm very excited. So first off, I would like to say I think the first book I ever annotated, because I cannot be 100% sure, it was Diary of Blood. And the reason I started annotating is because I remember reading this book and being like, I really like that quote. I feel like I need to express myself in some kind of way. I feel like I need to mark in it. And so that was really what started my love for annotating and just enjoying the hobby and just having a good time writing in books and making them so personal to myself. It's not heavily tabbed or whatever, but it's one of those things where I just had a good time. Okay. And this is what it kind of has turned into. If I can find the page. So, for example, Diary of Blood, I didn't even do an annotation key for this book. And then Sword of Kaigen, that is how my annotation keys have progressed. I've started having so much fun with them. For example, sometimes if I'm in the mood, I'll have certain highlight colors dedicated to certain quotes. I don't always do that. It's only if I'm feeling it type thing. I did it for this book. I had certain colors, tabs that had meaning, and then certain highlight colors that had meaning. And I did stick to that for the most part. There's still some stuff that I could go back and highlight, which I have a whole annotating, annotate with me video for this book. It's annotate by candlelight. And I'm also going to have if it's not already up, I don't know. I'm also going to have one for Six of Crows and at the X-Tex Salt and Broom. It's going to be one long annotating video that you can put on in the background for ambiance or whatever. Also, I have this book that I didn't make the book physically, but I really struggled with keeping my tabs organized. I struggled so much. That was one of the main things that would overwhelm me whenever I went to go set up my annotation key and pick out my colors to match the cover of the book, because I started doing that. I used to not do that. I used to just have a set key that I used every single time. Green was world or atmosphere, red was OMG moments, blue was sad, and so on. I think that's really good to get started. Or you can just stick with that. You can just make a key, pick the colors that you want to use. It can be just a standard key. It can just be a standard tab sheet, or you can customize it, whatever. But yeah, so I have accumulated all of these tabs and all of these sheets, and they got so messy, and I would organize them and then they would get messy again. The other week, I had an epiphany, honestly. I was like, oh my God, what if I took out all of the tabs and put them into their own little sheet? And I was like, okay, but what could I put it in? I could put it in a binder, but that wouldn't be very aesthetic. I don't know. That's what I was going to do. I was just going to have the tabs in a on a sheet on a binder. But then we went antiquing and I found a photo album and I was like, oh my God, I know what I'm going to use that for. So this has been my secret little project. I have this took me hours, kind of backbreaking too, because I just sat there and just transferred. So it is a bit of a passion project. However, if you're passionate about annotating, if you love annotating, I highly recommend that you do this. And if you do it, please tag me. Please let me know. I want to see what yours look like. I want to see what your pages, your sheets. Now I did laminates. So I did I pulled out pages from a book. I don't recommend that you burn them because it's fire hazard. I stopped doing it after the third page. Yeah, I stopped doing it. But laminate them. I will link the stuff that I did for laminating down below. It's super easy. If I can do it, anyone can do it, honestly. And yeah, so far I think I did 6 pages, and I still have a few more empty pages. So here I have 3 more pages that I can use for different colors, whatever. I don't know. And it's not like front and back because I knew I wanted to like glue the pages down, which I still need to find a better glue because I tried using 3 different glues and they don't really stay down that well. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, anyway. So this is my little annotating book, and I'm not gonna lie. I don't mean to like toot my own horn, but I do think it's kind of genius. At least I'm like, wow, why did I not think of this before? Because although, yes, it was time consuming to move all of the tabs, I think I emptied almost 60 tab sheets. I was just like complete mess. It went from like a complete mess of just like absolute chaos to now it's like in this little handy dandy annotating tab book. And I'm just like, oh, I feel so satisfying. So that's that. I did want to talk about that. And I'm going to, I think maybe include the process of me making this. I don't know if I'm going to put it in this video or like a separate video. We'll see how the footage turns out. But either way, I'll have, if it's not in this video, I'll link it below because it will be published at some point. And then I want to show you guys the different things I do with my annotations and my books. I also want to show you guys the materials I use, the pens, the tabs, everything else. Also, how I decide what books get annotated. I used to immediately start annotating, like if I was in the mood to annotate, that would distinguish whether or not I annotated. That's not the case anymore. Well, okay, for the most part. Here's an example of a book that I probably shouldn't have started annotating. I'm not dissing the book. It's not a bad book. It's just not what I was expecting. And I had immediately started doing my tab system. I was like, I'm going to love this book. Oh my God, it's going to be so amazing. And that wasn't the case. And I have soft DNF'd it for now. I mean, I did start writing in it just because I was like, I've already written in it. Now it's mine. So I'm just going to keep going. And I was writing down my thoughts inside the book. I really have started waiting 50 pages, 50 pages to decide if I want to annotate in a book. And there have been exceptions for this. Like another exception is Juniper and Thorn. I thought I was going to give that book 5. It was like a 5-star prediction. It's always 5-star predictions that I'm like, I'm just going to annotate. And I get really aggressive and I just jump into it. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have just waited. And then there are books like Where the Dark Stands Still, where I waited because I was like, I'm not sure. I'm like scared. And I ended up loving and obsessing. And I was like, why did I not start annotating like from page 1? Like why did I do this? And then there are books like Normal People where the first time I read this, I annotated, not knowing if I would love it, but I think I was just like in the mood to annotate. And then there's books where if I love the first book, if I annotated the first book, I want to annotate the second book. I want to have a complete collection of annotated books. Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is what it looks like. And I did pick out the tabs to match the cover. That's one thing that I have really, really loved doing. I used to not always do that. And I'll show you an example of like what it looks like whenever I haven't done that. So let's go sit down and I'm going to open up. We're going to do like an angle where you can see the books really well. And I'm going to talk you through everything. And I just feel like it'll be easier to do. I have so many questions that I want to answer for you guys. And I just think that this is a really fun thing to talk about. And it also is like very niche. And I know that not everyone likes to annotate, but if you do, then you've come to the right place. And we can just like gush about annotating for however long this takes me, because it might take me a little bit, but get a cup of tea, get a snack, and let's delve into all of the annotating questions. Okay, before we get into the nitty gritty, let's talk about supplies and materials and things like that. I am pretty basic. I like to use the mild liners. This is just a small pack. They come in larger packs. I do prefer like the earthy tones, so like browns, oranges, darker blues. I love the mustard yellow, one of my favorites. I run out of that one very quickly. To stay organized, this is a must, okay? This is a must. So As you can see, it has all kinds of stuff in it. See if I can show you without tilting everything out of it. But this is my little caddy. I don't know what you would call it. I have kind of DIY'd the little fabric around it because it's not meant to go inside of it. It doesn't really fit. But I ordered this caddy off of Amazon. It has washi tape in there. It has this random, that's not supposed to be in there, but it is. It has scissors, pens, highlighters. This is what I used to stay organized. For the first couple years, I used a pouch and I would put all my pens and highlighters in here, and this worked for a while. And then I just got an overwhelming amount of supplies, so I needed something else to hold everything because the little pouch was not cutting it. I'll probably still use this for something. I just don't know what. And they have really cute caddies. So this one's sparkly, as you can tell. And I use it for some of my excess highlighters and things like that. It has some gel pens. I really love these gel pens, by the way. You can get them like at Michael's. The Jelly Roll, and they sell them at Michael's, and you can like, they're usually on sale, different colors. You can get all kinds of colors. I love that. My pens that I use, if you are looking for pens that are budget friendly, these will not break the bank. A pack of 12 I think is like $10. I will have them linked below. So this is the brand name that I used to get. I don't buy this one anymore. Now I get the off-brand one because I feel like they work just as good. Sometimes I'll get a dud. Like you can tell if you have like a dud because it just kind of sometimes gives you issues writing, and you can just stop using the dud, honestly, and just like move on to a one that won't give you any issues. But 9 times out of 10, they're perfect. And like I've repurchased them multiple times. I've gone through so many pens because I love annotating. Now, if you're not worried about the money, okay, if you're not worried about the money and you want to buy like a really, really good pen, I would recommend the Pentel Point Liner Water and Fade Resistant 0.1. This pen, I am obsessed with this pen, but I use it sparingly, and I really am only going to use it for journaling because, yeah, if I were to use it for every time I underline something, I would run out of this pen within probably a month. Okay, way faster than that actually, but whatever. Here's an example of what it looks like written. I just wrote moment to moment, breath to breath. And as you can see, it doesn't really go through the page. I'm not too concerned about that, to be quite honest. I don't really mind if it goes through the page, but it doesn't really go through the page any more than the cheaper version. So like you can kind of tell here, where I underlined right there. Okay. And then I got another question. If I underline and highlight, like if I do both, and I do prefer to do both, and I'll show you what that looks like because it does eat up a lot of time and it does make reading very, very time consuming, but I found a way that works for me to make it more time efficient. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, here are 2 books that are really good examples. These are books that I have annotated, tabbed, but I haven't gone back to highlight my annotations yet. I'm doing a separate video for that. If I can just... Okay, so here's an example where I underlined and I tabbed, and then I did this like bracket thing. So whenever I go back to highlight the things I wanted to annotate, I just know exactly like the area, and sometimes I do have to reread a little bit, but I can quickly see like what it was that I wanted to call attention to on the page. Here's another good example. This one I had a lot of things to annotate, and I had some hearts, a lot of underlining, but whenever I go back to highlight, I'll pick a color and I can either coordinate it to what I'm tabbing here, like the colors, or I'll just use one general color. Honestly, if I could use this brown every time I annotate, I would, because I'm obsessed. I just love how it looks. This is like probably my favorite color. These two actually. Favorite two colors to annotate with. I love them, but I run out of them pretty fast. So yeah, so then I'll just go over and I'll show you what it looks like whenever I do that. And then I might take like another color to go over the hearts if I want to. And that's what it looks like. The reason I do it this way is because I find it to be way too time consuming. If I'm underlining and then highlighting and tabbing while I'm reading, it takes me out of the story too much. So I find it actually very streamlined and fast if I just go ahead and underline, and it doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, I like messed up here. My lines, I used to take like a ruler and make it perfectly straight. I do it occasionally, but for the most part, I just freehand it and it turns out fine. And like I circle some words. I do like to really circle things that stand out to me. For example, October clouds from that paragraph stood out to me. Here's another example. I circled this sentence. It says, leaves of tea reveal to me whatever I most need to see. I thought that was a really cool sentence, so I just circled the whole thing. Here I circled warning about all of this. I don't know, it was just kind of like the vibes of what is being talked about. As far as like what I write, my thoughts and stuff, sometimes I'll just put like random thoughts that come to my mind that I think might be significant. So like here I put, do we believe him? I'm like, what's happening? Sometimes I don't have a ton that I jot down. Here's an example of what my annotation page looked like kind of early on. It was pretty simple. I didn't really do a lot of decorating, and I like how this looks. I think it's straightforward, to the point. I picked out my colors that match the cover for the most part. And what I'll do is I'll take my set of tabs, which now I have my tabbing book that I'll pull from, but here's just an example of like tab sheets that are almost full, but for the most part, like you get the gist of what they look like, right? So you would take your tab sheets, and then what I do is I take a bookmark that's laminated. This one is laminated, it's a good example, and I would pull from the tab sheets, put them onto the bookmark, the colors that I want to use, and then I would use my bookmark as like my tab. I can't go back in the past and make this all correct, but I think you will see what I'm getting at. Like I basically use the bookmark as my tab sheet. I really love doing it that way. It just keeps it like simple and organized. But yeah, and for the most part, like my tabbing systems are usually pretty straightforward. And then here I have the first sentence highlighted. This one was like kind of back in the day. Here I just wrote like Halloween right there because I love Halloween. I doodled a little pumpkin. He's not very nice, but he's cutie pie, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I just doodle random thoughts. I like doing this like squiggle thing with the hearts. I think that looks cute. Oh, I love doing this. I started doing that because it was kind of like just like a way to be creative in my books, and I just like how it looks. I think it's cute. And then like I do the little brackets, and sometimes I'll like star something if I really love it, put a bunch of hearts, put my thoughts, quotes. And I also will sometimes, even if I don't have enough room to write things, you can tear out paper and use washi tape to tape that stuff in, and I do love how it looks. Again, it doesn't have to be like the most artistic thing. It just has to be a way for you to, I don't know, express your thoughts. Sometimes I'll do the squiggly thing and then write a quote on the squiggle line, whatever you call that. Put stars, kind of like, I don't know, make it look cutesy so that when you go back and reread it, you can see all the things that you reacted to and like really loved and like doodled, and it's just really fun. Okay, here's an example. I don't really know what I was doing here, but I was doing something. Yeah, and this quote, I just did a bunch of random doodles and stuff. If you can't tell, I really love this book. I love it. I still love it so much. So I also wanted to show you my old reading notebook. I had a standard key. So this was my standard key. I had yellow was for characters, green was scenery world, blue was sad, purple was favorite quotes, pink was love, romance / relationships, orange was questions, foreshadowing, dark green was important, pivotal, pink, darker pink was amusing, humorous, and then red was made me angry or stressful moments. And then there's like a light pink here. It says miscellaneous / notes. And then I just like, yeah, this this is like super old, and oh my gosh, I have Zodiac Academy notes. Literally so old. All of these are Zodiac Academy notes. I have the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Like, I just have so many notes in here. I never filled up that journal, but yeah. Okay, and then I'll show you some more examples of like what my annotation pages look like. This was a fanfic bound and gifted to me by my friend Mel. She makes them by hand. And I set up this tabbing page, and I got these really cute stickers from my friend Hannah for my birthday, and I love them so much. And I was like, well, I want to use them. And so I just picked different things I knew I wanted to tab. As far as like knowing what you want to tab, that's where the strategy, and it's kind of difficult at times. You kind of have to know a little bit about the book. Otherwise, I would suggest that you go with like a standard tabbing system. If you're not up for that, you can just stick to the same colors, the same things, and for every book you'll know what the meaning is. With that though, you can't really like, I mean, you can customize your tabs a little bit, but yeah, you can just keep it more simple. Like, it's up to you. For Kiki's, I only did 6 tabs, and I just did this little flower, and I think it looks so cute. And I did do certain highlights. Highlight colors mean for certain things. So like purple was any funny Gigi moments. Orange was all witch lore, witchy moments, whatever. Yeah, I had a really fun time with this. I actually need to go back and finish highlighting some stuff, but and like I have like little notes here. Your stomach is the center of the universe. I really thought that quote was funny, and I tabbed it as favorite quotes. And then sometimes, for example, I'll start out a tabbing system and I will write in pencil. So hold on, where is my, oh, here it is. It's right in front of me. My arms are really swollen, by the way, because I have new tattoos, and anyways, let's ignore that. So I'll take a pencil. So here's a good example. I will take pencil and I'll just lightly like put in what I think that tab is going to be for. And when I'm done, I'll erase it and then write it in pen. Like, it literally will come off. It's fine. You're not gonna be able to see it. So then you just go back over and you write it in pen. Let's do this one on the bottom. I labeled it on my knees because it's not just, oh shit. So on my knees is a tab that I did specific for Six of Crows because, you know, I knew that there was going to be those moments that were like more than favorite quotes. It was like, I'm on my knees, either sobbing or begging or pleading or worshiping or what have you. Okay, so I'm just going to write.
I kind of fucked that up.
It's fine. It says, on my knees, I don't know. I know what it says. That's all that matters, honestly. So yeah, that's just an example. You can erase. But I don't use pencil in the book otherwise. That's the only part that I've started to use pencil. Because sometimes you pick a tab and then you're like, actually, I don't like that. Or it doesn't have enough of this or whatever. So like, for example, let me pick a good example. The XX. You wouldn't tab sad moments in this book really, because it doesn't have a lot of sad moments. Like, it just doesn't. You might have like maybe 2 or 3 tabs that are somber moments, but this is a really fun book, okay? And you're not going to have a ton of sad moments. So if you pick out your system and you pick sad, and then you're halfway through the book and you're like, you know, I really don't have any sad moments, I'd rather use that tab for something else, you can go back, erase it, fix it, whatever. Okay, I got some more examples of pages. So here's a good example of a time where I picked out made me sad, somber, and it really didn't have. This book didn't have a ton of sad, somber moments. So I think I maybe used that tab like 3 times, maybe 4 times. I don't know. It wasn't a ton. But I do love how this page turned out. I did use like other materials to make it kind of unique and pretty. Here's an example of a book where I had a lot to say. If I can find the page. Oh, here it is. So as far as like, how do you know what you want to write? Honestly, if you have an urge to say something, that's the sign. Here I had a ton of thoughts in my head, and so I was like, let me get this out. Yeah, sometimes I'll be reading and like just a thought will come to my head. Here's an example of a copy that was gifted to me, and whenever I was reading it, I felt like I was reading it with her, and like I annotated on top of it, which I kind of like wish I hadn't done, because I kind of was like, I kind of wish I had just kept it her annotations. My friend Hannah gifted me this, and then I went back and reread it and added thoughts. Okay, so like, for example, I put here, the house equals a favorite character. Like, when you have those thoughts in your head, if you're like, oh my gosh, I love this character, just write it down. Like, note that in the book, because it's kind of like a treat whenever you go back. You can write song lyrics. You can write things that like stick out to you. So like here I put Lady Death. I put that in highlighter, and then I went back over in this really pretty, I don't know if it's going to be able to show, but it's like a sparkle gel pen, and in person it looks really pretty, but I don't know if it's picking up on the camera. And you can put pictures. These are from Redbubble, I think. These pictures. Nesta is a queen. This was a quote that I really liked, so I put it in sparkle pen. I don't know if it's showing or not. The sparkle doesn't really pick up. Oh, I also really like to use, I forgot to take these out last time I read it. These little stickers, these little emoji stickers I got off of Amazon. I'll try and link them below. I haven't repurchased these in a really long time, so yeah, I'll try and find them though. Oh, and then also she decorated the cover of this, which is really, really cool. You can also do that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Here's an example though. I've shown you, but this is an example where I didn't actually customize the colors. I just used the colors that came on the tabbing sheet. And I like how it turned out. Like, I think it looks really pretty, the colors. Here, I just put the slow burn is killing me. And Hermione and Draco, I always use pretty much the same colors for Hermione and Draco. Anytime I'm reading a Hermione fanfic, at least, Mel is the one who has gifted me the copies, but other than that, I'm reading them on AO3. But Hermione would get purple, Draco green every time. And you can use blue for Hermione because she's in Ravenclaw, but I just like to use purple because I use blue for sad. This is when I stuck with the colors, so all of the colors highlighted. Like I can quickly see that was Hermione, like, or it was a quote about Hermione, or Hermione was saying something, or it was her point of view. And then anytime like Draco was saying something, I would highlight it in green. Ooh, I love this page. This was like a really romantic page. I did like the little swiggly thing, and I wrote quotes, and I also like decorated it and like added this little cute little heart emoji, heart face, heart eyes. It's so cute. I love doing that. Okay, and then we're going to talk about topics that I use for fantasy, because I don't annotate romance and fantasy and genres the same. I actually don't ever, I don't think I've ever annotated a thriller, because I don't really know what I would annotate. I think I would annotate probably thrilling moments, characterization for sure, foreshadowing, that kind of thing. So for fantasy, I do anything important that I want to remember, scenery, writing, cozy moments. Those are honestly one of my favorite things to annotate and tab, because I love a good scenery. I love a good atmosphere. Okay, so if a book has a good atmosphere, you betcha I'm annotating it. And then I also love characterization. So sometimes if it's like a second book in the series, so like, for example, this is the second book in the series, no spoilers, but I pulled out Luther. He got his own tab. He got a tab for his characterization and Luther being hot. And then I did a tab for special moments that stand out to me. Slow burn romance got a tab. It's a slow burn between Luther and DM. So it was very, very specific. I like to be very specific in my tabbing these days. And then yellow got world building. So world building always gets a tab for fantasy. Well, 9 times out of 10. Okay. I can't recall a fantasy book that I've annotated that did not get world building. And then miscellaneous moments, I always have a miscellaneous tab, because there's always something, miscellaneous that you want to make note of, but doesn't necessarily have like enough things to annotate on its own. And then moments that make me go, oh shit. I love doing that in fantasy, because if a fantasy book is not making me go, oh shit, then is it really a fantasy book? And then we have miscellaneous character moments and characterization. So if you're reading a character-driven fantasy, that would be a great tab. And then intense or magical or magic-related moments, also cool creatures. That was what this green tab is. And this is for Glow of the Everflame. So yeah, I do like to make my tabs very, very specific these days. Otherwise, I mean, I just used to keep it very simple, but now I just really like to make it more specific. The special moments that stand out to me, I think I just combined that with favorite quotes, because I didn't have a tab for this one specific to favorite quotes, but it was like, I love this writing so much, and I love this book. Like, this series is really good if you like fanro. And then, let's see. I would do that kind of thing where I'm just like doodling on the side of the page. I have lots of thoughts. I was calling the main character dumb, so not very nice, but it was a feeling I had. Yeah, I'm usually like talking to the characters. I said, is this an interrogation? 21 questions. Things I'm thinking in my head. Girl, stop talking to this lady. Just like very unserious things. Marth got some fire to her. Oh, one of the characters, I said she's got some fire to her. I like to circle things. I think I already mentioned that. The banter's everything. Yeah, I just like to write that kind of stuff. And then sometimes I'll do like a little page with like a quote. And these were all my thoughts at the moment, so I put them there. And sometimes if I have like a double tab, I'll kind of put them on top of each other. But yeah, this one I was telling one of the characters to Oh, I love putting these little eyeballs. I don't know if you can see them. I'll put them like eye rolling or like looking at, if it's a spicy moment, sometimes I do like, I'm going to show you an example. This one might be a hard one to find an example. Oh, I know when this one gets spicy. Let's try this, which it's at the very end. Okay, here's the spicy moment. So I'll show you what it looks like whenever I do these little eyes, because I think it's cute. They're so easy. They're so easy to do. I don't know. I think that's cute. Yeah, so you can tab literally whatever you like in your books, but I hope that this has given you some ideas. I think this tabbing system is one of my favorites just because it worked so well with the book. I did Masaki Mamoru Sad Emotional Politics because this book had a lot of politics, war moments, intense moments, miscellaneous, funny banter, family, favorite quotes, one to remember, world building, and it was very simple. Like I wasn't like too specific, but I love this book so much. I have a whole annotating video on that, so you can go check that out. Let's see what else we can talk about. I think a really good question is, how do you know if a book is going to be worth annotating? If you're rereading a book, it's probably worth it. If you love a book, if you already gave it 5 stars and it's a reread, that's a no-brainer. But if you just really like annotating, honestly, like you don't really need a reason. But if you're 50 pages into a book and you're really liking it and you have, if you resonate with the characters or if you just really like where the story is going, pull out your tabs and go to town because it's your book. As far as like what I do with my books after I annotate them, if I hated them, sometimes I'll give them as gifts to friends if they like that book, or I'll just turn them around on my shelves. That's not like for all books that are turned around on my shelves. Sometimes it's just because I like how they look, because I like the tabs. Usually I just sell them. They're usually not like super annotated. Sometimes they're just tabbed. Yeah, I don't really know. But I've kind of stopped getting rid of annotated books because I've stopped annotating in books I really hate. So there's that. Like I don't really own any books where I hated the book and I annotated. I'll stop annotating most of the time. Like I'll just stop. Here's a book that I started annotating and I kind of lost steam, so like the tabs you can kind of tell towards the end, and in the beginning I was like going full speed ahead. So I thought that was interesting with that book. Oh, I just thought of something. So this book, whenever I annotated it, I used washi tape. So I have this like glittery washi tape and I used it for, it's kind of a spoiler, so I can't really say, but I used it for certain characters. And yeah, so I just like how that looked. So I don't have black tabs. I wish that they would make black tabs, but I used the DIY route and I used my washi tape and I cut it into really small pieces and I would just use it as tabs. Let's see if I can find another example. Oh, here's one. Here, and I think it looks so cute. It's all sparkly. I like how that looks. So yeah. And then it also looks good whenever you close the book. Like that is so satisfying. I just love that. I love that how that looks. Another good question is, do you analyze the text or are you just annotating vibes? Sometimes I do like to analyze. It depends on what I'm reading. So like if I'm reading something that's very intriguing and thought-provoking, like sometimes fantasy can be like that. Sometimes even romance can be like that. You can analyze the characters' decisions or their characterization. A lot of times is like pretty intriguing. But yeah, sometimes it is just vibes. Like this character was sipping on coffee in her apothecary and it was cozy and comfortable and the effect was bewitching. Those are the things that I underlined and highlighted, and I just think that is such a fun thing to like go back and be able to see and to just quickly read that from the page. I just think that that is a really nice experience. Yeah, and like sometimes I'll like write down, certain things about characters and things like that. I'm trying to think, like foreshadowing is a tab that you can use if you haven't, obviously, if you have already read the book. Even if you haven't read the book, if you notice something that you're like, oh, this feels like a foreshadow, write it down on the page. This was a book that I recently reread. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I love this. I wrote just like silly things a lot of the time, but I just like to keep it fun and lighthearted. I'm not a scholar, but you can be more scholarly with your annotations. It's totally up to you. I think it just depends on if you're reading for entertainment. I mean, I learn a lot from my books no matter what they are. Like you can learn from romance, you can learn from fantasy, you can learn from nonfiction, you can learn from fiction. Sometimes I just am doing a lot of underlining and highlighting, and like I said, it does slow down the reading process quite a bit. So I have started the new process of underlining and then going back and highlighting because I just enjoy that a lot. And then here I put it's the banter and fan family for me. You know, if I resonate with or if I am enjoying a certain aspect of a book a lot, that I feel like is very telling to me. But yeah, a lot of times it's characterization where I can learn a lot about just like people and how other people think. This book has a lot of characterization, so does Crooked Kingdom. Crooked Kingdom has a lot of characterization. It's just top of mind because I'm currently in the middle of rereading that, but... So yeah, if you're annotating for school, it could be a little bit different. I mean, you would just change your tabs. You might not tab for favorite quotes. Like, I'm not really sure. No, I think you could. You could tab for world, scenery, foreshadowing, favorite quotes, characterization, lore. Found family is a very specific tab. You can barely see it because it's still in pencil. I need to go back, but found family, not every book has found family. So if you know a book has a certain trope, you can tab for that. But I wouldn't tab for like every trope because not every trope is going to be, you could put certain tropes in the miscellaneous category for the tab. But yeah, this is, I hope that answered many of your questions. Again, the highlighters I use are here. I'll have everything linked below. The pens I use, I have lots of them. My favorite color highlighter is brown. And then the mustard yellow, I'm obsessed. But yeah, and then I highly recommend the bookmark thing because I started doing that and I really like doing that. It's a great way to stay organized. And then... yeah, so, I mean, what made me want to start annotating is just wanting to mark in the book, wanting to make it stand out in my mind a little bit more. Because you also, if you think about it, you're rereading the line whenever you're highlighting it or whenever you're underlining it, you're reading that line again. So a lot of these books I've read some of my favorite quotes multiple times, especially if I've reread the book. I just think it's a good way to stay engaged in your reading. Before we go, I will show you some of my most annotated books. I love this series, the Magnolia Park series. I kept my tabbing system pretty simple. I didn't really decorate the page very much. I should go back and do that because I spent a lot of time annotating this series. This whole book, actually. I've read it twice. Amazing. If you like heartbreak and trauma. No, but seriously, it's pretty messy. This series is very messy, but it's really good. I love the writing. This is just some of my annotations. I like how that one turned out. It's kind of cute. And again, it can be messy. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Here's a cute page. I kind of like designed that a little bit. Like, it's not like the most perfect thing, but I think it's so cute. I mean, it's not like super artsy. I just think it's fun to have fun with your annotations, I think. But it's totally up to you. You don't have to do all of that. And then here's another example. You can print stuff out, add stickers to it. This is what my page looked like for this. And then here's another example of this is one of my favorite fanfics of all time. So I really went all out and I printed some art, put that in there. I used washi tape and stickers to really decorate it. More art that I printed out, and then I decorated this page with some washi tape and stickers. And I just think it looks really cute. And fun fact, every single page of this fanfic has an annotation. Every single page. And this fanfic, I think, is like, my friend Mel bound and gifted this to me. I did not purchase this, but it has almost 800 pages. Well, it's technically like over 1,000 pages. It's like 300,000 words, I think, something like that. And every single page has something highlighted or annotated. I'm not even exaggerating. That's how much I love this fan fiction. This is Remain Nameless. It's a Hermione fanfic, and it is so, so good. Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys some more examples of what my tabbing systems look like, and I hope that this helped you. I hope that I answered everything. If you have made it this far and you want to let me know, go ahead and leave the little writing emoji, the note-taking thing with the hand and the pen, and your favorite color heart. Please do let me know if you have any questions I didn't answer or anything that you'd like to share when you annotate, preferences, materials that you use. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. And if you do want more content from me, I do have a Patreon and an Instagram, but I do post extra videos on Patreon and all kinds of content over there, so you can check that out. And if you did like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you in my next video.
So I'm back to the velvet underground, back to the floor that I love, to a room with some lace and paper flowers, back to the gypsy that I was, to the gypsy